Hey everyone, welcome to the It's My Time show. I'm your host, David Angeron, along with co-host James Gamble of the Global Scouting Bureau. And today we have a special guest with us, the starting pitcher for University of Tampa, Haden Erbe. Welcome, Haden.
Good morning. Thank you, David. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, glad to have you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
Wow, I don't know how much time we have, but I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm on my sixth year of college, fifth school. I've kind of bounced around. Different things have happened over each of those years to get me to the different places, but it's just kind of something I've been rolling with. Sometimes I got punched in the mouth. Sometimes I shot myself in the foot. But I'm here at the University of Tampa. We're going into opening day next Friday, and I feel really great going into that.
Well, I want to say I'm going to jump in for Haden. You know how you welcomed him and said he's at Tampa. We could have done this 5 different times, like he's saying. Some of the places he's been, which are extraordinary. From UL Lafayette to what was your path? I'll let you tell your path, because you've had a variety of places, and I tell him whenever I speak with him. It takes where he's been and what he's been through to bring him to where he is today. And if you knew how he was doing, I mean, just the other day, I think you were up to what, 98?
Yeah, I hit
98. And that's your new PR, right? I mean, I've never seen you at that, and now you're starting to get there. It's the amount of work that he's put in to becoming who he is today. And for all other athletes that are watching it, a lot of times they want something within the next week or two, and it just doesn't work. I mean, this guy has really transformed himself as a pitcher, as a person. And that's why I said, take everybody through your, the last 5 years, the little geography.
Yeah. So like I said, I started out at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. And so I played for Tony Robichaux before he passed, rest in peace. But I learned from him, and he taught me a lot of things that helped me deal with the next 5 years. 5-6 years. So it's kind of like you go to a place, you leave it, and you can be bitter about it. You can be nervous about going to the next place. But I think the first place I went with learning from Tony Robichaux was super important for me to be able to learn about what was to come. And you don't know that during the time you're sitting in these meetings, we're having these Wisdom Wednesdays and all this stuff. And it's crazy at how much what he put into me at that time that had nothing to do with baseball that helped me get back to where I am today. So that's kind of cool. That's where my career started. I threw a little bit my freshman year as a true freshman. I missed the entire fall. I had hurt I was rehabbing my elbow. I didn't have any surgeries for my senior year, freshman fall. Threw a little bit, was really just overwhelmed. Wasn't quite there yet mentally. The game was so fast, and they say it, but it's different. And whenever the game's fast and then when the game's slow. So I ended up missing my whole sophomore year. I had a crazy freak accident the last day of the fall with my shoulder. I kind of knew I was going to get scholarship cut down, released, however you want to call it. We knew it was kind of going a different path. And I ended up deciding to go to a junior college in Florida. It was about 20 minutes north of Orlando. And I went there, and I had, in that time, that year I missed my sophomore year, I basically put on 25 pounds. I learned how to cook. I got my grades up. I just took care of myself, and I took off that summer. I played in the Texas Collegiate League, and I started hitting 95 here and there. And when I got to Seminole State, I had another big velo jump, and I threw it in front of like the opening day jamboree. I threw it in front of 300 scouts, all this stuff. And I ended up going on, I took all 5 of my visits, and before I landed on West Virginia. So at Seminole State, I probably at some point at the end of the fall, I busted up my knee. But with the resources we had, we didn't have a really good idea of what we were doing. All I knew is that my knee hurt every day, and I was sleeping on the couch with it elevated every day. And I was just, I just kept going. I ended up leading the country in innings going into the postseason. I had thrown about 79 innings, 80 innings, and I had missed about 3 starts. I had dropped a trap bar deadlift thing with 350 pounds. I'd like broken my toe. My last pitch that I threw, James was there. I threw it. It was been about 101 back off my shin and flew in the dugout. And I ended my JUCO career. The season was over. Couldn't come back for the little play-in tournament at the end of the weekend. and I had to actually fly home and get X-rays on my shin because they didn't take my insurance in Florida. So it's just crazy how like you do all this stuff. I was coming back throwing 2 to 3 times a week. I'd throw 6 innings on Monday, close on Friday, back on Monday, and I just did that until the season was over. And then junior college, people don't realize the junior college season starts right now. It started last weekend, but it's over by the middle of April if you don't make playoffs. So it happens fast, especially when you're playing that many games. You're playing 3 to 5 games a week, which is a little bit more than what we're going to play this year, Tampa, which is Division II, or even last year we played 4 games in a weekend at University of New Orleans. So that was that got me into like the I guess I don't like the word grind per se. I think you signed up for it. You're not grinding. You're playing baseball. It's college baseball. You're getting it done. There's no grind to it. If you want to grind, go work 40 hours plus another 15, 20 and raise a family. I think that's more of a grind, But so I showed up at West Virginia. I was like, hey, I have this knee thing. Like, I think my knee's pretty messed up. And there's like, well, you wouldn't be throwing. I was like 91, 94. You would be having this success and you wouldn't have thrown 80 innings last year. Like, it's going to take whatever. So we did all the rehab. I'm in there every day, getting scraped, getting cupped, doing blood flow restriction therapy. I'm trying to get my knee right. And I threw really well. I think I had really put myself in a position to start. I'd thrown maybe the most innings. I started all the games that we played against Marshall and different things like that. And I had a really great fall. And then we went on a team retreat and we're hiking. We're in the mountains up in West Virginia. And man, I'm shedding tears with 35 dudes of like all of our dudes. I'm like, my knee, like, oh, we got to get it checked out. Sure enough, I go get my MRI and I had completely torn my meniscus. It was off the bone. It was about 3 inches below where I needed to be. And I had started to have micro fractures from my tibia since I didn't have that padding for the meniscus. So every pitch I threw, every time I ran, bam, bam, bam. So that was where all the pain was coming. It wasn't really the meniscus, but the fractures of my tibia. So I called, I got the second opinion. I ended up having surgery up there. My dad came in and they told me it was going to be 6 months. So I had that surgery mid-October. They were like, we're looking at middle of conference. Well, what I decided to do is I just went harder. I started rehabbing twice a day, 6 days a week. I skipped Thanksgiving. I came home for 3 days for Christmas. I was like, I'm going to come back. Like, I'm just going to get it done. Well, this was really, really hard for me mentally. I was taxed. I remember that there was days where I was trying to not go on road trips because I knew I wasn't going to play and I just wanted to be ready. And at this time too, I was getting a little bit distracted from baseball, away from what I needed to be doing. Simple way to put it, huh, James? I don't know how much I want to get into that.
He just had a relationship outside of baseball. And,
yeah.
It did distract him from the priority list that you probably have to have when you're a college athlete or an elite athlete. You have to put your priorities, and he probably drifted away just a little bit, and that affected him.
Yeah. Well, it drifted me a little way, but I still got my work done. There was a little pressure to come back sooner than I was even comfortable with, because I was not cleared to run yet. I wasn't cleared to even jog, but I was able to throw and the ball was coming out well. So I remember we were going up to Mercer University. This is, I think, the last weekend of February. And we had sat down 3 different times with my doctor, the surgeon. And I remember calling James. I was like, hey, can you throw? It was like, no, I can throw, but I can't do anything else. Like I can throw, but I can't. So I was like, all right, this is what we're going to do. You have to swear, like put it on the Bible. You're not going to get off the mound. Okay. The easy, like, I don't want to leave the mound anyways. Like ideally, like we're not going to do that. So they play the first baseman in on the grass. They play the third baseman in on the grass. And you're just going to pitch, ball comes. If you leave the mound, we're pulling you out. And we're beating the crap out of you. Like, you can't leave the mound. I come in, it's the 9th inning, Friday night. We've got a 6-0 lead. And this is the first pitch I've thrown probably 4 or 5 months to hit it. I only threw 3 up, 3 down, strikeout, ground out, fly out. That was it. That was supposed to be my weekend right there. Hey, you're done. Great job. I threw 10 out of 12 strikes, 10 out of 13 strikes. Ball's coming out. I think it was at 94. All right, you're done. Saturday comes. I'm sore as hell. My knee's sore. I'm wearing this huge brace. I can barely walk or run if I wanted to. Well, we lose Saturday and it's Sunday. And I start kind of getting a feel for where this game's going. It's just it's a Sunday game. It's we're fighting. It's we're going at it. Well, it's 6-6 in the 8th inning, and I'm like, I'm going warm up. I'm going warm up. So they're like, where's Erb? I'm in the pen already. They put me in. We had burned our closer was our left fielder, so we ended up putting him in, burning our DH. Whatever. I come in the 9th. I strike out. I go strikeout. Maybe strikeout, fly out, and I strike out another one, but he gets on, so I have a runner on first now. And I go strike out again. I get out and I come off like fired up because it's a close game. They were maybe had 2 losses at the time. And my position comes up to hit in the 10th inning. I can't run to the plate much as do anything else. So I come out, we put in our Friday guy, he goes up, strikes out. We end up winning the game, but I come up that next Tuesday and I'm up and I pump a 6 in the bullpen, like getting hot for the game. We're throwing like a no-hitter, like I'm fired up. They're like, no, sit down. You're coming in. First game against Texas Tech, #1 team in the country. We're driving up to the airport. World ends. COVID, right? It's everything's over. Everything's shut down. Championships canceled. All the stuff. And I remember us driving back and me just being like, well, this freaking sucks. Like I did all this work. I'm like, I feel like I'm hitting on all gears. I'm like back into it. Like I'm like my depression had kind of like shifted away after the success I had this past weekend. And I remember we all got settled in. We're all waiting. Everyone kind of remembers that. No one knows anything. I remember I fly home and they basically call a team Zoom meeting. And I don't know what it was because whenever I heard they called the team Zoom meeting, I called Gamble. I called I talked to my dad. I quit baseball. I'm done. I'm not going back. Call the coach. Hey, I'm not going back. I'm done. Well, why? I can't do it anymore. I graduate this summer. I was just spouting off just whatever, anything that was an excuse not to go back into where like basically I didn't want to get hurt again. The mental drain of it or the physical pain of being actually hurt again because I had so many different things. I've never really been healthy since probably my freshman or sophomore year of high school at this point. So I quit. I start door dashing. I start coaching. I lose some weight here and there. I remember I'm just working at I'm working into we have this facility back in West Virginia. I moved back there at kind of middle of COVID, and I ended up throwing live because one kid popped his elbow, and the next high school kid was 45 minutes late. And I remember I struck out a couple of pro guys, and I'm up to like 93, and I hadn't been training or throwing, and they talked me back into it. So obviously I get back into it because I mean, that's how it's just how it was supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So to keep that part, not so whatever, I end up at the University of New Orleans. I transfer in the week of my elbows barking. Well, so one of the surgeries I had when I was 13, my ulnar nerve flipped on me and rolled. I can't throw without pain. It hurts all day, every day. I ended up having surgery in October. I'm leaving school. I'm going back home, and I'm rehabbing with Carrie Lampkin, who's done a lot of my rehabs. He does a really great job in Lafayette. And I remember I was like, I'm going to throw 95 by Christmas Day. And I had surgery like October 21st. And I basically was just dove in, just did everything I could possibly think of to get better. That's when I got the ring. I started working a job. I was working as like a bartender server at World of Beer. And all I did was baseball. There was nothing else. There was no distraction. There was nothing else. And I was living at home, and sure enough, I popped 93 December 26th and 95 January 3rd, my first bullpen at UNO. And kind of went through that and had a big scare a week before the season. I made a sliding play. Knee swells up, and we're like, holy crap, dude. I think I tore my knee. We go in, they're like, yep, you tore your knee. I'm crying, dude. I'm like, this is horrible. I'm like about to be the Friday guy again, set up. I did all this work. So I start throwing sidearm. I'm ripping sidearm the first 2 to 3 weekends. I'm coming in as like closing here and there. And I remember South Alabama came in, and I just had a bad outing, and I was throwing I threw like 30 pitch sidearm. My elbow blows up. I missed that weekend. I think I just rehab, and I was like, all right, if my elbow goes and my knee goes, it goes. Let's just go back over the top. Well, one of our guys gets sick. I end up starting Friday or like the second game of a doubleheader on a Saturday against the #1 team in the conference. and I strike out 11 in 4 innings. I go crazy. Like it was my best outing of the year by far, and my first time over the top in probably 2 months. And I kind of just slid right into that Friday spot for the rest of the year. I threw a lot of pitches. I didn't have the statistical success I really wanted because I'm really into numbers, but I thought I threw the ball well, and I was getting back to a spot where like I was more comfortable, especially without having 2 years of off seasons, taking off 3 months of baseball completely. It just was what it was. And I decided that we ended up going after same thing with scholarships thing. We didn't work out, wasn't going back to University of New Orleans. I tried to get picked up in the draft. They just no one wanted to touch me with all my injuries. So I ended up going to the University of Tampa, and I trained all fall. I worked for James. I did some coaching things. I did some good stuff at Rage and Mounds on that aspect of training high school kids, which is I have a lot of passion for. And I just took care of my business, and I really transformed my body and was able to put in a full off season, a full year of health, which I think has been one of the biggest things for me. And I came back, and I had a great spring going into Friday night of this year. And they told me I earned the Friday job on Monday morning.
Well, for anybody that's listened to everything, the biggest point, a lot of times when people meet Haden, because how tall are you, Haden? What's your size right now?
I'm 6'3", 230.
Okay, he's a man. He was even when he was in high school, he was tall, but he was tall and thin. Now he's a man, and everybody thinks that when they see him throw, it comes easy. If they knew how much work that he put in over the past 5 years, and he's never once had a healthy season. That's why even on the major league side, his stuff is there. All of his analytics line up, but he's got a history of having some okay injuries, but some just minor injuries that take him out, where when he's saying the word, his elbow blew up. It didn't actually blow up. It swole up. He had some issues with it. It took him out of being a consistent pitcher. We're hopeful that this year, and I know he is too, that all the work he's put in, he can just go out there, have fun, play the game, and just pitch. Let the rest take care of itself. All of his analytics, his stuff, it already lines up with major league players today. Now it's, can he go out there consistently, pitch, and some of it is outside of your hands and outside of your control. He mentioned earlier, I was at a game where he was throwing phenomenal, and the guy hits a line drive off his shin. I thought it killed him. Okay, that's how hard it was hit. It was unbelievable. And then, the little setbacks and how one thing leads to another when people weren't at the game, because he was in a draftable situation at this point. The rumors go out that he's hurt. They don't even know that it's on his shin. Everybody assumes it's arm. And before long, major league scouts are, oh, this guy's injured. He had a huge knot on his shin. Okay. That's not it had nothing to do with his throwing motion. And it was very tough. And that's how the game is. Sometimes it beats you down. And so I think, David, you and I talk about the mental side. Haden's been through so many things. Okay. And as far as a person, where he's at now compared to where he was, because the first time I saw him, I walked up and said, welcome to Division I baseball. And that's the truth. He can tell you that. It was the first time I walked up, shook his hand. Hey, welcome to Division I. And I think he was 16?
Yeah, I hadn't turned 17 yet. And I remember I didn't say a thing. I said, okay. And you said, whoa. You need to tell me right now if this is what you want to do, because I'm about to put my neck on the line for you. So you need to make a decision right now. Yeah. And I think I just said, yes, sir. Like, yeah, sure. I'm down. Like, cool. It's like, at this point, I had no offers at all going into my senior year, like none. And I was real clueless to what was about to happen. And James kind of knew exactly what was about to happen that summer.
Well, I knew he was going to blow up because what I just witnessed was, okay, here it is. So for me, he had nothing. And I went, okay, do you actually want to play college baseball? Yes or no? You're a Division I guy. It's going to happen. Yes or no? Is this what you want? And then he went, yes, sir. And I mean, even that summer, he went from Louisiana Tech to the Tulanes to the ULs to that. Everybody started having interest because of the tools that he had. But if I look back and compare the tools he had then to what they have now, they're not even close. Okay. He made a comment that I wish all kids would pay attention to, because everybody in high school thinks, hey, I'm a good high school player. Oh, I can handle it. The speed of the game is so drastically faster. And it's not just the physical. I mean, Haden could pitch, but the speed of the whole game and understanding how the game was played, that was what was really fast when he got to college. And he was an elite and is an elite athlete. there's a lot of guys that's what I think the downfall is when they get to college. They can't handle the transition. And so then the mental side starts to break them down because they're not having the success they had maybe when they were in high school or in summer ball or things like that, and having to deal with the challenges that you're going to go through, the injuries, the relationships, whether it's personal relationships or the friendships and how things work, because now you're maturing and you're having to go through different things that you didn't have to go through when you're in high school. And I mean, Haden, I think you've went through a lot of things. I mean, I'm proud to know you, be around you, witness what you're going through. I still think his best days are in front of him. Again, if we look at how his progress is going, he trends upwards, which is huge. I mean, to hit, I don't know if it was your last outing or the one before that where the coaches went to you and you were what, 95 to 98, you're hitting it. I mean, these are new personal, what used to be what he wanted to touch is now what he's pitching at. That doesn't happen without making small, smart choices done repeatedly over time equal drastic results. He'll tell you, I gave him the compound effect early on. He read it. And the truth is, to success, I mean, you have to put in the work. There's no way around it. Part of Haden's journey is when he kind of threw in the towel. That's way more mental than all the physical. It just took a toll because you went all in. Okay. And I experienced that with other athletes, and it's not even in baseball. They might be in a relationship and they went all in. And the other person said, nah. And then you just feel whipped. I mean, you were just like, hey, man, I am done. I don't care about anything right now because I gave my all and it's not enough. And so it really does take the mental side to repair yourself personally. And even in baseball, Haden, I know how much work you put in. He's been at schools that people dream of playing at. He's been at all of them, and all have had ups and downs. Okay, every one of them. And he's went through ups and downs. He's been all over the country, whether it's Driveline, whether it's Unlock, and he's a student of the game. He really dives in. So when he goes through those hardships, you have to be able to pick yourself back up. That's why I guess Yogi Berra had made the statement, baseball is what, 90% mental and the other half physical. And it's a joke, but Haden's actually lived that. Even where he's at now, he's preparing himself. They're starting the season, and you don't know what the future holds. So the biggest thing that I tell him is, go and enjoy the game. Go have fun. Go pitch, have fun, and because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And for all of the athletes, when they commit to go to college, they think they made it. That's the starting line. Haden's journey, I mean, my gosh, I remember whenever he committed, it was a big deal. He just got through telling you, look at all he's been through and where he's at, all of the challenges, the up and downs. But the greatest thing about him is everybody has two choices. They can get up or give up. He keeps getting up. So I'm really proud of him. I mean, David, you may have some more questions.
Well, I just want to mention, I just met Haden last year. I saw him for the first time, when I was scouting a UNO game, and I just fell in love with his work ethic. He earned the starting spot for Friday night at UNO, but it didn't stop him from working harder, getting better. And he just has that mindset of, hey, I have to earn it. I can't go out there and just expect it to happen. Got to be earned. And, his work ethic, he's in the weight room every day. He's, he gets after it, even after he gets the starting role. If he hits 95, he wants to go and hit 98. And, I just love that drive. And I think without that work ethic, he's not playing anymore. He goes through all those mental challenges and he just gives up and walks away. But, there's something built inside of him that just gives him that drive. And, I love watching him compete. Even when he's having a bad day, he competes and, he expects more of himself. And he doesn't think he's entitled to anything. He goes out and he actually earns it and gets after it. So, Hayden, I compliment you on that. I'm really grateful that I got to meet you and, follow up with you and now have you, as one of our guys with my time. And, we love to see where you're going to go from here.
I appreciate it.
Well, I also want to just add, though, he did a really good job. He coached this past summer with kids. And what I think he's doing is he's inspiring the youth and he's giving them true information. I mean, and it's at the level they can handle it. As we get older, we start thinking they should know something. Haden did a really good job. I think all of the players for the team, man, they loved you. But one of the things he was able to do is get them to understand if they're going to control their future. Okay. It doesn't matter about all these other things. They are the ones that are controlling. They have to dive in. I used to always say, get a PhD in yourself. Well, Haden, and it doesn't matter who a coach is and how good past is Haden really understands his body because he's been through so much. He knows it better than anyone. And I believe that's true with everyone. So he was now going from a playing standpoint, and he was teaching for the players to really start diving in and understanding their bodies. Not everybody's identical. Not everybody's going to have the exact same things they're going to go through. Some guys are going to have some guys need to gain weight. Some guys need to lose weight. I saw him talking to the dugouts to guys when they would say, I can't put on weight. And he'd say, oh, no, stop it. You can absolutely put on weight. Okay, it's a process and you have to take it serious. Well, to me, that was awesome because it's the same things and he said it in a different way, but it's the same things we try to explain to kids about, look, you can. It's just a commitment. You don't want to make the commitment to wake up at 7 o'clock and eat breakfast and maybe go back to bed, but you got to get the calories in you. And he was doing it. And a lot of those kids, they really appreciate it. The growth in some of those kids are really significant. I think you've mentored them well. And I'm looking forward to seeing you this season, man. I wish you the best of luck. And we're proud to work with you and proud to know you.
Yeah. I'd like to say one more thing too. It's, James said that, I did the work, I did this, I learned, but the amount of people who've been so integral to even having information or having conversations. And a lot of that goes to Kerry Lampkin. I'm training right now with Kyle Rogers. He's out of Seattle, who's someone I met while I was at Driveline. He does my programming. I've bounced around. I've learned a lot from the Top Velocity people, the ranch, all these people who've put out all this. What a lot of people realize is like, oh, I have to spend $1,500 to get 1 weekend of information. A lot of these people, if you just go on their social media accounts, their Twitters, their Instagrams, I have separate accounts to follow only that stuff. They put out all this free information, these blogs, all this stuff. It's out there to learn anything you want to learn. It's our Google search. And that's where all this information's come from, is from other people. I'm not really reinventing the wheel. I'm not learning. I'm not really creating anything new. The way I go about my spreadsheets and my data, I love data and stuff. I got that from Trevor Bauer's YouTube, which is completely free. So I just want to say that this can happen for anyone if you're willing to go learn it, and just go and reach out. I saw some of the stuff. I just blind DMs to people like, hey, I have a question or this, that. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because people are very willing to either help or provide information back. So I think there's so much information that people can't even comprehend. And David's My Time app is one of those things where you have at the fingertips on your phone at any given moment. You can go get workouts that we do. Our lessons are Tremaine Spears, who is my roommate, one of my good friends, what he thinks about while hitting, and that information's just, it's insane that it's out there and at the reach of our hands, but it's not the 1980s anymore, where you hope Tom House is your pitching coach. Otherwise, you put some ice on it, eat an ibuprofen, and you go back and pitch. There's nothing to it. There's just so much information out there for anyone at any age, any parent, teammate. You ask a question, you go type in how to throw harder. I promise you will be reading articles and websites for years of people telling you, trying to sell you on something, how to throw harder. But one of the biggest things that for me is gauging that information, going through each piece and applying it to yourself that makes sense. Because there's this thing that Kyle Bodie, the starter Driveline, said, and I tell this to everyone, everything works, whether it's weighted balls, the triple velocity belt, the core velocity belt, analytics, not analytics. Being 160 pounds, Caleb Sorosky at UNO, dude had one of the best seasons of everybody. Dude couldn't. I could outbench that dude if you cut off one of my legs. I could outwork him. But if everything works, some things works better than others, and nothing works for others. So you have to continue to adapt and learn and keep going, and just take a little bit here and there. And once you apply it, at the end of the day, when I show people the spreadsheet I put in of my information of when I get on my ring and how I sleep and my calories and my water and my workout and my med balls and my sprints, they're like, wow, dude, this is awesome. I was like, yeah, I made none of it. All I did is just put it onto myself, and now I use it. So it's out there. Just go take a look for it,
Well, one thing I want to add, because, he's talking about creating a routine, finding what works for you, because everything works. Now it's finding what works for you, tracking it. Haden does a phenomenal job. And that's something that all players can do, is start learning themselves. he could give you his plan, but it may not work for everybody else. So now he's very good at understanding his plan, and you're seeing the progress. So again, I want to thank you, Haden. It's been a pleasure knowing you. I look forward to good things in the future. And Dave, that's all I got.
Yeah, we're going to be following you through the season, Haden, and we'll have you back on, later on in the season. And we wish you the best of luck, and really thank you for being a part of our program. And we're excited to see where your future lies.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, David.
Haden, stay healthy.
Yes, sir.
Stay
All
healthy.
right, sir.
All
right, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Again, always check out mytimesports.com or mytimesports.tv and check out our books, on Amazon, the mental training guide for elite athletes, and It's My Time. The recruiting book is, a valuable tool for everyone. And we have a new book coming out called the SWOT analysis for athletes, and that's going to be a good one. Hopefully it'll be out this summer. So, again, get all the resources you can, and, wish y'all the best of luck, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.